Let's have a DVD and Blu-ray update. Ahoy everybody, and welcome to a DVD and Blu-ray update. Middle of January, I've got a decent stack, might as well show them. So these are all the DVDs and Blu-rays I've watched since the last update, or certainly the first time watches in this. You know, a couple of these things I have seen before, but these actual physical items is the first time I've watched them. So let's crack straight on. So first up we have Elisa, which is a French film from somewhere in 1990 or 89, around then, which I owned on VHS but finally picked up on DVD. Really good film. So Vanessa Paradis stars as a young woman whose mother tried to kill her and then killed herself, but she survived, grew up in orphanages, ran away with a couple of other kids, and sort of infiltrated themselves into various people's lives and sort of stayed with them for different amounts of time. All the while she's been trying to track down her father, who'd left the mother, and that sort of led to the suicide. She did briefly stay with her grandparents but didn't get on with them, and it's basically the story of her and her friends, but mainly her, trying to track down her father, which she does eventually, played by Gerard Depardieu. It's a bit twisted because she tries to seduce him as sort of revenge for her mother's death. But yeah, it's a really good film, excellent performances all round, do recommend. This is Bill Hicks's Sane Man. So this is a very early Bill Hicks performance. From 1989, his first full-length comedy special. There's sort of material here that would be developed a bit more on his later routines. There's some material on here I have on CD, but yeah, very funny. If you like Bill Hicks, highly recommend. This is Glastonbury. Hit myself in the face. This is Glastonbury Fair, which is a film from 1971 about the second Glastonbury Festival. It's made by Nick Rogue, directed by Nick Rogue, Nicholas Rogue, who did half of Performance and Walkabout and Why's My Brain Gone Dead? He's one of my favourite directors. Why can't I think of anything else? Puffball, Man Who Fell to Earth, various others. It's interesting. There's, quite a few performances on there. They are very much of their time. Is there a list on here? Who's in there? Terry Reid, Family, Melanie, Fairport Convention, Traffic, Linda Lewis, Arthur Brown, and a few others. And then it's just lots of footage of hippies being hippies, basically. But yeah, it's very much a timepiece. But it is, if you're sort of interested in the early days of a festival and that sort of music, it's worth a watch. I believe it's on Prime. Rory found it. This is Clerks 3. Or Clerks 3. Clerks 3. This was a immediate must-watch. It turned up on either the 29th or 30th of December. I watched it that evening, and then New Year's Eve I saw in watching the extras from this. I can't say too much about it. Where it's a brand new film, I don't want to spoil it, but I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. Love Clerks and Clerks 2. This is a well-worthy addition to the trilogy. It's not quite as laugh-out-loud funny as some of the other films, but it's highly entertaining, and it's also very moving. Excellent extras, full-length commentary with most of the cast, led by Kevin, of course. then an hour or so long documentary about the making of it, an hour or so long documentary about the trilogy, about half an hour of alternate and deleted scenes, plus trailer. Very good. Tim Minchin's back live, so this is his most recent live show. Big fan of Tim's. Did see this show at Portsmouth Guildhall 2019, I think it was. Then obviously lockdown happened, and then he redid the tour after lockdown. It's my least favourite of his shows, purely because a lot of the music in it is from his most recent album, whose name I've forgotten. Is it mentioned on here? No. But my problem with that is, although it's great music, they're largely serious songs, and that's not what I want from Tim Minchin. I want comedy. But there's still lots of comedy in this, and lots of his classic songs, which are comedic. And it's highly enjoyable. It's just my least favourite of his live shows. This is The Libertine, which isn't the Johnny Depp film. This is a film from... I couldn't quite work out where it was from, to be honest. It's directed by Pascal Festa Campanile. It's either French or Italian, but it's... at first I couldn't quite tell whether they were speaking English or if it was dubbed in English. I think they were speaking English, but a lot of the voices are sort of dubbed, because it's mainly, if not entirely, European actors and actresses. So I think that's where the confusion lay, because they were mouthing the English words, but the voices didn't sound quite right. But this also contains two versions, the uncensored Italian version and then the alternate American version. The American version was edited and released by Radley Metzger, who is an adult film director. I sort of skimmed through the American cut and I couldn't really see much difference, to be honest. But I enjoyed this quite a lot. So basically, we start with, what's her name? Mimi, at her husband's funeral. And we hear her in a monologue. A lot of the story's told through her in a monologue. And basically, she's just bored at the funeral and upset that she isn't upset more. She discovers that her husband had another apartment and she's given the keys to it, and she goes and checks out this apartment, and it turns out it's this kinky sex apartment where, with video cameras and a huge great screen, where she watches a video of her husband and her best friend involved in some kinky S&M type situation. So she decides she's going to explore her own sexuality, basically, and she seduces various men throughout the film. It's not as explicit as that sounds. There is nudity in it, but very little, and most of it in non-sexual situations. But yeah, she's gorgeous and sort of holds your attention throughout the film, if only for that. But yeah, it's quite funny in parts. It's really well made, and I enjoyed it a lot. Loads of extras on it as well. This is Smooth Talk, which I basically bought because Laura Dern is the lead in it. This is a film from earlier in her career. She plays a 15-year-old. I think she must have been a bit older than that when she actually made it. It's from 1985. Basically, she's a bored teenager who doesn't get on with her mother, and gets on with her father, but he's absent a lot of the time through work. She was wanting to meet guys and all the things teenage girls in films want to do, and it's basically just about that and the guy she meets and how she's treated. But I bored of it. I think I gave it 2.5 out of 5. Her performance is strong, and most of the other performances are strong, but there's just not a lot of substance to it. This is This Time with Alan Partridge Series 2. which came from HMV with a signed in-character card. I've mentioned before, I'm a big fan of early Alan Partridge, up to and including I'm Alan Partridge. With a change of writers when he sort of relaunched him, I still enjoy, just not as much. That said, do enjoy this time a lot. And Series 2 was a good development from Series 1. And yes, enjoy this release. We've got Tommy, the film, Ken Russell film of The Who's rock opera. Don't think I'd ever seen this before. I think I've sort of seen clips, but I don't think I'd ever seen the whole thing. But really enjoyed it. You know, it's very much a Ken Russell film. But there's some great performances. And obviously the music's great. Yep, and there's good extras on there as well. Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the complete season 1. This was sent to me by my good friend Craig Huntley. And I'd never sort of bothered with the extended universe of Star Wars. But when he offered to send me this, I thought I'll give it a go. And I enjoyed it a lot. It was, you know, I was going to say entranced, that might not be quite the right word, but gave it my full attention throughout all the episodes. Where the episodes are only about 20 minutes long, it's quite easy to just, you know, watch them one after the other and follow the plots and twists and turns. I'll probably get more as and when I find them. It's going to be getting hold of them without resorting to a complete box set, which I might have to do. But even then, I think that's quite hard to come by when I looked. This is Monique, which is from my Slap and Tickle collection of 70s sex comedies and the like. So basically, Bill and Jean... Is Bill and Jean in it? Yeah. Are in a happy but slightly bored marriage. So they hire an au pair, Monique, who comes in and they both fall in love with her. And she's great with the kids as well. And it's about, you know, that love triangle that ends up as a threesome. Good film. Again, held my attention throughout. Again, not as rude as it sounds. Although, there is some nudity. It's only a 15. The sort of thing that put me off is, for me anyway, the actress who played Jean, the wife, was far more attractive than Monique. But that might just be personal opinion. We have Doctor Who, The Collection, Season 19. So these, with the Doctor Who season box sets, when they first brought them out with the big deluxe editions, basically I couldn't afford the first one when it came out, and it had sold out by the time I could afford it. So I held off buying those, hoping that they'd bring them out in less elaborate packaging, and they did. I'm currently working through season 14, is it? But the original one that came out, the Tom Baker one. But just because of the way I had them catalogued, season 19 was watched first. So this is Peter Davison's first season. I'm very familiar with the stories, or, you know, very might be a bit of an exaggeration, but I have them all on DVD, so I know the stories. So this is as much about the new extras, really, for me, than owning the original stories. But I obviously have rewatched them all and enjoyed. So Castrovalve was good, not great. Four to Doomsday, better. Kinder, even better. The Visitation, better still. Black Orchid, very enjoyable. Earthshock is one of the best Doctor Who's ever. And then Time Flight is one of the worst. But yeah, I enjoy the Behind the Sofa documentary watch-along bits on these, and all the various new interviews and the like. Very good releases. And then finally, this is a double bill, again for my Slap and Tickle collection. We have Naked as Nature Intended and Secrets of a Windmill Girl. So Naked as Nature Intended is a one of these naturist films that was the only way they could get away with showing nudity in the 60s. Directed by George Harrison Marks. Basically the plot is that there's a group of 3 girls travelling down to Cornwall just for a holiday, and then another pair of girls also travelling down to Cornwall from both from London for a holiday, but they are going deliberately to a nudist camp. Now the 3 girls are going in a car, the 2 girls are walking from London to Cornwall, which is just impossible basically, yet they sort of keep arriving at places at the same time, and it's, you know, very far-fetched with that. But they sort of stop in places along the way and they do little vignettes showing off these places. So it's only, I think it's like 65 minutes or maybe a little bit longer. But probably about 50 of those are the journey down, and there's nothing sort of saucy or anything in any of those. You know, they wander around Stonehenge and various seaside places. There is this one guy, I can't remember his name, but he plays a different character in each place they visit. There's one girl who sort of recognises him every time. It's quite funny. And then eventually they're on a beach and the threesome are playing around, and one of them spies the 2 naturists who are sunbathing naked, and she gets talking to them and they encourage to join in the naturism, and then they go to a naturist club. The last 10 or 15 minutes they're all naked basically, but even then it's still tops and bums only. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of the girls are really good looking, so that was enjoyable, and as I say, it was quite funny in parts, so yeah, I quite enjoyed that. Secrets of a Windmill Girl stars Pauline Collins, and also Martin Jarvis is in it, and that's a drama film about a pair of girls who leave school and sign up to be windmill girls, dancers at the windmill. And then Pauline Collins' character sort of goes off the rails, and it's sort of about the downfall of her character. But it started off, I believe, as a documentary about the windmill, and then it was sort of changed into a drama. So there's lots of footage of the windmill acts, which are enjoyable. You know, the comedy and the magic, as well as the topless dancers and what have you. But yeah, again, it held my attention. I preferred Naked as Nature Intended because it was funnier, but it was okay. Apologies for changing camera angle. An insert, I found one more that had fallen on the floor that I haven't shown, and that's A Private War. This is an excellent film based on a true story of the journalist Marie Colvin, who is played by Rosamund Pike. Jamie Dornan plays her long-term photographer. Stanley Tucci's in it, amongst many other excellent people. So yeah, Mary Colvin was a war reporter who travelled all around the world reporting on various wars. And it's about her life, how it affected her PTSD and the like. And then it, you may have gathered from my use of her name in the past tense, it then investigates the circumstances leading up to her death, which I won't say too much about, but I do highly recommend that film. Okay, thank you. Okay, that's it. That's what I've watched since my last DVD and Blu-ray update. Once I've got a decent pile, I'll do another one. Basically, that's it. Thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on another video. Thanks. Bye.